changing lives.
And welcome to the Law Chambers, where legal matters are discussed from a Christian perspective. The name is Anita Delight. We've been discussing a lot. We've been discussing a lot because this is in the you may are discussing from criminal system, basic institution, legal. Your core has been here, structure has been here, legal aid has been police, immigration. Attorney General, we've tried as much as possible to educate ourselves on something, anything at all. Education is the key here. And we are a bit late, so let me just zoom in. Today we are going to discuss prenuptials. Did you hear me? Some people are going to get married and go ahead, let's have some documents with the... Me, I have the experts here to help me discuss that matter. Me, in Ghana, someone is thinking, Ghana, do we have that thing here? Oh, you sit there. People have started writing, and they will ask ourselves, apart from the legalities, morally, we'll have fun, trust me. So let me just go to my guests. And usually I like to introduce my guests, but today I want my guests to tell me something about themselves under 2 minutes. Something private, their full names, where they work, and something they want us to know. Let me start from, is it ladies first or gentlemen first? You should see Mariam's face. She's like, what are you talking about? Ladies first. No, this one I'll make the exception. Yes. Senior, your full name, where you work, your position, and something private and nice you want the guests to know about you.
Okay, my full name is Raymond Koju. I'm a legal practitioner. The office are Koju Law Offices, and then I also do ICT legal consulting. I use Consult General.
Something nice and private.
Nice and private. I'm here, and I would share my experiences, and
I have put you on the spot. Marianne, yes. Tell us something about yourself.
So my name is Marianne Darlington, and I'm a legal practitioner in private practice with Ace Legal Consultants. Something nice. So I'm a champion of women's rights and an advocate, strong advocate of saying private remains private.
You see, you've taken it like that, right?
Yes.
Because you see, what the information they gave me about themselves, it's so short that I'm like, I still push for you. It's okay, I'll take it like that. So, seniors, let's zoom in. When you talk about prenuptials, what is it? And do we have it in Ghana? Do we have any laws governing it?
So, prenups is prenuptial agreements. That means that agreements that are made before marriage. So that's basically what it is. Any agreement at all that a couple will make, usually in writing, before they get married. This agreement will usually govern what happens during the marriage or after the marriage, what happens to them as individuals, as a family, what happens with regards to money, with regards to property or business, or any other thing that they may want to include in any such agreement, so that things are clear, everybody knows what happens to them in the instances that they foresee would come, if any of such instances arises, they know what is likely to happen because they've already agreed. So that's what prenup basically means.
So what they envision will happen will include death, divorce?
Yes, so we are looking at death, we're looking at divorce, we're looking at bankruptcy, we're looking at businesses, even sometimes their roles as a couple.
What they are supposed to do in the marriage.
In the marriage. There are some prenups that would state that maybe the woman more likely should not work. The man would give her a certain amount of money as an allowance monthly, or if she would work, what it would be limited to, and how her lifestyle will be funded. Basically, these things are agreed before entering into the marriage.
Senior Ray?
Yes, basically yes. You see, let's look at prenup as some kind of insurance policy, right, that you take in the event that certain things take place. Prenups are done in anticipation of a marriage, and therefore what you like an insurance policy, or you look at the risk and you want to ensure that there is some clarity that if certain set of events occur, this is the procedure by which those events will be addressed. Now, with prenups, the prenups covers different areas because we have different type of marriages. Okay, we have monogamous marriages, we have polygamous marriages, we have marriages under the Mohammedan Act. Now, if you are going to engage in any prenup, any marriage, for example, and you want to have a prenup, you need to understand which marriage you are going into. Because if you're going to a wholly monogamous marriage, you know that it's one man, one wife, and the way you negotiate it is strictly with that party. If you are going for a potentially polygamous marriage, that is to say, a customary marriage is a potentially polygamous marriage. Now, if you want to have a prenup in relation to that, you have to understand that you're going to deal with it from a certain conceptual point of view with the first person and subsequent parties who will come on board, because you cannot have a prenup which would create an advantage for one person in a customary marriage and a disadvantage for the other person. So basically, if you're also looking at the Mohammedan ordinance, you have to ensure that whatever marriage prenup agreement you are dealing with will be consistent with the Mohammedan law. The issue with prenup usually starts from the point of view that many people think that you need to have something before you contemplate going into a prenup. So if, for example, you are going to your first marriage, right? People ask, what are you going to do with a prenup? Because in reality, you have nothing, okay? But there are different ways in which revenue comes in. Some may come in through inheritance. Prenups provide that clarity. It's important for both parties or all the parties who are involved in that conversation to understand what risk they want to address. Usually in divorces, you will see that the absence of prenups creates blurred areas where you come to what is marital assets for distribution. And the reason why I said prenups act like an insurance premium is that some of these areas which can then create emotionally charged litigation, right? If these things are clarified in a prenup, you know that straight away these are the marital assets. Now, sometimes also people sign prenups, but they don't go into details. Law is not common sense. Okay, it's a very technical thing. So you can say that, okay, whatever I get from inheritance is mine, what you get from inheritance is yours. But you see that in the course of the marriage, the other person's money goes to maintain what came to you. And then the issue of now the character of the property has changed. So when you're having the prenup and you're having these conversations, the different aspects are required to be discussed. And it's important also to bring in, although you don't need a lawyer, it is useful. It's just like you don't need a doctor, but it's not good for you to self-medicate. So when you are dealing with legal tools, it's also not advisable to take it from a pure common sense point of view. So this
So in Ghana, do we have any laws governing prenup? And is it legally enforceable?
The law of contract basically is a law, okay? And the law gives you the right also to deal with your private assets, right? And to contract and come to different postures. When you look at in divorce, right? If you have a prenup, right, and it deals with what would constitute marital assets, and it is in conformity with existing law, because whatever agreements you come to in your prenup, it must also conform. It must not be in violation of any existing law. So that's part of the reason why it is useful to have lawyers involved, you know, so that whatever you discuss, right, it's also seen to be consistent with law. Because if it's not consistent with law,
so what are some of the issues that can be raised there that we might think will not be consistent with our laws?
I think that the whole concept of prenups, people think that it is not legal, and there's been the issue of whether, like you were asking, Ghanaian laws will accept. So there's nothing in our laws that prevents anybody from making a prenup. Like Senior was saying, it is just another contract. You just need to make sure that all the elements of a valid contract are met. But because this particular contract is talking about marriage, and you know how Ghanaians feel about marriage, you think that it has to be happily ever after. So how dare you contemplate divorce?
Oh yeah.
Like you're not even married, you're thinking about divorce. And they try to use those language and terms to try and deter people from actually talking about things they need to talk about. Yeah. Because we have a very greedy society and culture where people want to take advantage of other people and they don't want to discuss it. Like we are all pretending it doesn't happen, but it happens. So the reason why this becomes an issue is that people are there thinking that, hey, this is marriage, it's supposed to be sacred. So don't dilute it or don't dirty it with such discussions. That is because in the religious setting, let me use Christianity because I know that better than the other religions. A man and a woman who get married are seen as one. So that's the language that is used all the time. Oh, you are one. But when we say they are one, what we actually mean is that is the husband. We never say the one to think about the wife. So it's the husband that will acquire the property anyway. It will be him
but it's
that
changing now. With a trend now.
So I'm just starting from where it's coming from. It's the husband that will acquire the property anyway. He would do the businesses. He would go out there, bring in the money. So we say it's one. We're talking about the husband. So now, if you want to sign a prenup, you're actually going to talk about how the wife should benefit, things that she can get, which otherwise nobody would talk about. And so if there were instances like dissolution or death, it was in our Ghanaian setting, it is what a family, if they like you, that's when they'll tell you what they think you should get. Or dissolution of marriage. Do you have your name on any property? You know, things like that. So nobody wants to talk about it. Like,
but the
how
courts
dare
are
you?
now handling it. Why do you need prenup?
So that there's the liberty to choose, to be able, you are free to contract, to be able to decide for yourself what you want to do. Prenup is not saying that go against our laws. If the laws say this is how something should be, you cannot contract against that. You cannot contract to say that the courts cannot decide in your cases and things like that. So like Senior was saying, you cannot bring in, some people would contract and hide property. So they would also use general terms like, all properties I had before I got married, they are mine. What are they? For instance. So sometimes, yes, you're allowed to contract, but that contract must be fair. It must not be conscionable. It must not have fraud and other misrepresentations and things like that. As long as it is fair, it meets all the requirements, it's a valid contract, the courts are likely to use it. Now, even when we say that the courts may recognize it, we don't also mean that it will trump everything. So, yes, there may be a court that would say, I will not enforce, recognizing and enforcement are different. I may not enforce the prenup, but I can recognize it as a document. So, for instance, if in this document you stated that this particular property is solely for her, you cannot come back upon dissolution to say no, it's jointly acquired. They may recognize that admission you made in that contract. They may not, for instance, go by how you wanted the properties to be shared, but they may recognize the admissions you made. So because there's the, are we enforcing it, are we not enforcing it? For us, I'm pretty sure I can speak for Senior when I say, prenups is just another contract. He says you don't need a lawyer, I say you need.
Actually, he said you need one.
It's advisable.
It's advisable.
Me, you need. It's a prenup. So you need to be sure that your interests are taken care of. There are people that their spouses to be may bring them the paperwork, and then they'll look at it and then they'll sign. Always talk to a lawyer. The fact that the paperwork has been brought to you doesn't mean you can't vary the terms. If it's not favorable to you, some people will say, oh, think about the marriage. It's the marriage you want. But you're signing something. So make sure your interests are covered as well. That's why you need a lawyer. So that it's not just to say, okay, grammatical errors, no grammatical errors. No, it is so that we can think as far as we can. We can't possibly think about everything.
Yeah.
But as far as we can, and like it says, law is technical. We can't preempt some instances that may arise, especially for family, children who come into these marriages, those who are brought in, and then those who come out as a result of the marriage, so that we can see whether everybody's interests are protected in the event of any casualty. And it is not just, people think that, okay, prenup is, if you don't sign a prenup, you are being materialistic, or you want to be, you want to come
Actually,
after
that was the question I was going to ask.
Somebody's property. But that's not the case. The same way you are free to contract, you should be free to say no.
So if you, it will come across as if you have ulterior motives, because I say that I want to protect my property. I want to you to protect your property. So let's sign this contract. And you say, no, I'm not interested in signing this contract. It means that you have something to hide.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you vary it to suit you?
Yeah, you see.
I don't want to sign.
You see, let's say this. Motive is not necessarily wrong.
Okay.
Okay. People have different motives for going into different professions. It doesn't make it necessarily wrong. People have different motives for going into marriage. It doesn't make it necessarily right or wrong. Now, the we have conversations enable us to see whether we can have a meeting of minds. Okay? If we can have a meeting of minds, it tells us that we can, potentially we have a good future. If we cannot have a meeting of minds concerning properties even in peaceful times, right, we may then know that in the event that things go wrong, it can be more complicated than simple. Then we can make informed decisions on how we want the relationship to be defined. The clarity, you see, one of the things which our culture brings challenges is openness. Sometimes we think if somebody goes into marriage and the person says, okay, I think that from the draft you have brought, you seem to be taking everything and I'm totally disadvantaged. Right? I think it's a healthy disclosure and a conversation. So we look at prenup as a conversation that we are all trying to find a win-win situation. We are all trying to bring the clarity that enables each person to see that there is fairness. Now, what happens is this. You know, in law, everything that you write is conclusively presumed against you. So if for nothing at all, the prenup creates some kind of extorpers in writing. And in law, those extorpers in writings are conclusively presumed against you. And that document, even if a court is not going to enforce every aspect, okay, the extorpers created would also help somewhere along the line when you have challenges. It also creates a situation of objective peace. Because if, for example, as part of the prenup, it says that whatever property I have and I bring into the marriage remains mine, and marital property is only what we jointly work and acquire. Your spouse has a right to say that, okay, this property that comes that you're bringing in, when we're going to do maintenance, how are we going to maintain it? Then the issue comes up, okay, if you say that that property is yours, then money from the marriage should not be used to maintain it. You're improving the conversation, right? Then the next step may be that, okay, everybody has a certain part of their income that they can use for their private things. So the conversations that come.
Look at a situation where one party isn't working, which still happens pertains to in our society today. So usually, not always, we are told that the woman, because of their children, they are young, right? So be at home, take care of their kids. Like when they get to maybe a certain age, after maybe 18, then you might think of your career or something. And this lady is supposed to sign a prenup before the marriage, and you've already been told of these things. All things being equal, it's the man who is going to have the properties made. The properties will be in the name of the man. And the man is telling you that at the end of the day, what you bring is what you take away when you're leaving the marriage. It's not profitable to the woman.
You are assuming that it is compulsory for you to sign anything that is brought to you.
Because most, not always, but most women, for marriage and in quotes for love, want to go in. No. Because most of the situations you hear worldwide, at first the women will be against it, but some women that have come across don't want the perception that it's because of property that's why I'm going to this marriage.
But if it isn't, then there will be no issue. But there's an issue because you can foresee that these are the challenges that can happen.
Exactly.
So isn't it better to address those challenges now, so that when you go in, you are in knowing that these things are what is likely to happen. I tell my clients every single time, there's no problem with you deciding to be a stay-at-home mom. There's no problem with you agreeing in your marriage not to work, blah, blah, blah. If you are doing it informed, because that situation is ripe for an abuse. That is ripe grounds. So if you are informed and we tell you all the possible things that are very likely to happen, you know, and you say, yes, I've heard you. When this happens, when this happens, this is what I can do. I am okay. Okay, this situation is not bad. I think I can manage it. And you decide to do it. I don't have a problem with that. So that when the situation happens, you would have known and prepared for it. So yes, these are some of the challenges that could occur. So for instance, if you are not financially sound, you are not likely to own property in your name. Your husband may be the one to purchase it. But if you know these things, when you have a prenup, you can prepare for these things. So if you ask me to be a stay-at-home mom for 18 years, I need this prenup to be able to take care of my finances. So when you go and you come back, that financial budget must include an allowance for me. And it should be reasonable for me to be able to be okay and stay at home. But if you know that you're likely to not have money and you don't prepare or take care of these needs, who are we to blame? If really it is love, if you know it is love, then why are you afraid to talk about it? Because if it is genuine, there shouldn't be a problem.
But there is a problem because you come across as being the grabbing gold digger.
No, you see, let's look.
There should be gold
for you to dig.
For you to be able to dig.
Let's look at it this way.
That's a good one.
Let's look at it this way. First and foremost, there is an assumption that if the lady is a housewife, in inverted commas, or stay-home mom, then she has no future. It's not necessarily the case.
Correct.
You can have stay-home moms who also are enterprising, right? The fact that a person will be a stay-home mom doesn't necessarily mean that she will do zero
She's not
work
earning
at all. We should also understand one thing. Love does not guarantee happy marriages. Otherwise, there will be no divorce.
Say that again.
Love does not guarantee happy marriages. Otherwise, there will be no divorce.
So there'll be no need for a prenup just in case.
So it is always important to understand that no matter how much you love a person, that doesn't mean you must fail to think on both sides.
And plan, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's important that being open is understood to be being open. If somebody cannot take you for being open,
Yeah.
it may be a good gift for you to walk away. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, being open simply means if also you say, okay, I want to be a stay-home mom, but you know what? I also need a future. You say everything you bring in, everything that you have before I married you, we get married, it's yours.
It's yours.
Fine. Now, when we get married, are you saying that we'll have no future? Because everything will be yours? Yeah. Because the conversation should prompt thinking.
Yeah.
The answers you get would show character. Because if you are, in the Bible, there was a man called Nabal.
Yes.
And
there was.
the meaning of neighbor was what? Fool. So you can have a man who is a fool.
And
okay?
a wise wife, like
And
Abigail.
Right. So at the end of the day, you see that Abigail went into a marriage knowing that her man was a fool, but she knew how to manage the fool, and she knew how to control the house despite the fact that the fool was the head of the house. So you need to enter marriage understanding who your spouse is and deciding whether or not is worth going into.
So right now what we are moving towards is the fact that we are saying that marriage is a contract.
Marriage has always been a contract.
Vis-a-vis the Christian notion that
marriage has
it is a union between a man from God. Now you want to make it business.
No, being a contract and being business are two different things.
Don't you
marriage
that to them.
is
Yes.
what? It says, for this cause a man shall leave his father
And mother
and he will cleave to the
become one.
And so become one. We need a man.
Really the man.
Now, meaning the union. Because when you
there's no man, there's no woman, there's
because
one.
you see,
Yes.
in the vows,
But then
they say,
after they become one, you refer to them as he, and then he.
you see, and you notice that marriage, the vows are until death do us part. So you see that there are two things. There's the prenup, which you have that conversation, that contractual conversation, which precedes the marriage. In the marriage itself, there's a certain type of rights, because the law also has certain regulations about marriage, and those would hold. So property rights of spouses, if it's passed as a law or judicial pronouncements, they would regulate these things. So even when you go in as a housewife, a prenup does not oust the jurisdiction of property rights under law. So you are not left defenseless and unprotected.
Because if you look at the laws, the Supreme Court is now very clear.
Yes.
Individual can make their own personal properties within the marriage, in a nutshell.
We didn't need a Supreme Court for that.
Yeah, we already had that, but they pronounced on it.
Yes.
Okay, so now you're doing prenup, and we are in agreement that everyone should have their own properties. So at the end of the day, sometimes the woman is disadvantaged. Will the court really step in and say this is unconscionable, and so you should have this, that?
So that's what we're saying, that if your
will that affect the contract?
If you cannot contract on illegalities, for
no,
instance.
not illegality.
You
so
cannot make unconscionable contracts.
No, this is unconscionable. All things being equal, we are saying individuals can make their own personal properties, and so in the contract, in the prenup, we are saying that we should all make our property. We are different.
Let me give you an example. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
You get married to somebody, right? And you say your wife should not work. She should be at home, no work. And so she's at the mercy of the money you bring to her. In the same time, you've said in the prenup that we should all take the properties we acquire. That is an unconscionable contract, because you have put her in a position where she already cannot purchase, like, real estate, for instance.
She agreed to it. And she knew that.
Yes.
And she still signed it.
But that's the point of contracts.
Yes.
You can sign it. You can agree to it. But if it's unconscionable...
How is this unconscionable?
If one person has more bargaining power, and so there's undue influence.
Before you got married, you were on equal balance.
No, wait.
Until you sign the contract is when the imbalance started.
There is a difference.
So you can move, you can go out. You can say, I'll marry again, I'll do.
Yes, you can.
But you said I'll do. And you sign and then you're saying it's unconscionable.
There's a difference between a bad contract and an unconscionable contract.
Okay.
So you can have a bad contract, a court will not interfere with it, because it's not the duty of a court to do a good contract for you. But when you have an unconscionable contract, the law has always been there to protect people against unconscionable contracts. You will see, if you go through case law, that there are very few examples of that. But it is useful. You see, knowledge is useful. Ignorance is expensive. Okay? So one of the things parents also should look at is when it's the first marriage, parents look at it, they advise, okay? It's not just about, when are you getting married?
Parents, please listen, very important. Especially also when are you going to get married, please, we are moving from there.
It's not just about when are you going to get married. You must begin to also, part of mentoring is to prepare your child to to understand that it's not just love, okay? There's a reality after the vows, okay? There's a life which you have to live, and there are certain things that you have to guide against. So if, for example, you realize that your daughter is going to a marriage where she's going to be a housewife, she's somebody who is career oriented, right? She's gone to school, pay school fees, right? Mm-hmm. You have a right as a parent to have a conversation with her to find out exactly what she's going to and whether she understands that risk, to get marriage counselors also to advise. Unfortunately, in this country, a lot of times what we call marriage counseling is not pre-marriage counseling. Is not pre-marriage counseling. It's about people who have already decided that they are going to get married.
They are done with everything. They're just telling you, say.
But we have to understand that knowledge is critical, right? And this issue about prenuptial doesn't oust marital assets. It just defines what you are saying is not marital asset. But the moment you marry, there's a presumption about marital assets.
Yes.
Okay.
Jointly acquired.
Right. There is that presumption.
They're holding it in trust.
Right. And it is important for people to have honest conversations. Because
are we saying that couples discuss prenup agreement without damaging trust or romance? Is it possible?
It is possible
because
if you are mature.
I like that. See, I repeat that again.
It is possible if you are mature. You see, to say that your spouse wouldn't have an expectation is not to be realistic. Right? To say that you have an expectation but she shouldn't or he shouldn't,
that's not fair.
It's not being practical, it's not being fair. Right? In fact, it's a warning to the other spouse that you are going into a relationship with an unreasonable person. Right? Now, we can have unrealistic expectations, but when we begin to converse, to have a conversation, and you see that the person is not adjusting. You see, the beauty of prenuptial agreement is at that time you are not obligated to marry the person.
Sure.
Right?
But and you're in love.
If you look at when you go through divorce cases and you're dealing with divorce cases, you see that emotional things, right, are not things to be toyed with. You see that regret does not undo the past. So it is important in the same way that you can date, but even after you've given the cards out, if you see that it's the wrong decision, it's better to recall. I think that the discussions with prenup helps you to see, to assess, and then you must all be open with your expectations and honest with your expectations.
Are we then saying that most people are not honest?
No, so I was going to say that, first of all, I think that let's just be faces. We have a culture of deception. Yeah. That's one. So to answer the earlier question, whether prenups can take away the romance or whatever,
no trust.
If it's the two parties alone discussing it, there's likely to be deception, because one person is going to try to use their
influence power or
their undue influence over the weaker one, who is looking at the love, and so let me just be, which means there's deception, so it's not real. Then when you bring in third parties like lawyers are not part of the romance, so they are probably going to look at it from a totally contractual point of view. That part is where you would say is likely to break. But that is the part that exposes everyone. So like he said, if you're mature, that shouldn't be a problem. If this is something that you want to do, then you should be ready to be open and plain about it.
You'll be one, including properties now.
Also, we've seen divorce petitions. We've seen the pleadings that go into divorce. He said emotions are not to be played with. I think that if prenups are negotiated properly, we'll have less divorces. Again, negotiated properly, not just by anybody, but if it's done properly, we are likely to see the divorce numbers come down. Also, we are likely to see probably less marriages because people can say, no, I don't want this. You can see what the future looks like and you say, this is not the future I want. Because probably you want a happily ever after. Mm-hmm. So, no, this will not give me a happily ever after. I don't want to do this. And so we are likely to see less numbers in people who are rushing to get married and then less people getting a divorce because they know what they signed up for. Now, we've spoken a lot about properties and finances, but one thing that we haven't spoken about that are also in prenups are the emotional parts.
Yeah.
I want to date twice a week. Mm-hmm. It's in there. Mm-hmm. How many times are we having sex as a couple?
Oh, yeah.
It's in there.
Yeah.
How many children do we have? What if we are unable to have children naturally? How many years do we wait trying to have children? If we are unable, what happens next? If we are going to do fertility treatment, mm-hmm. who pays for it? Who funds it? How many times do we do that before we can have children? What if we cannot have children at all? These are real questions. And I always say that children are an economic decision because yes, it will affect your finances. So these are things. If definitely you're going to sign a prenup, you might as well put everything in there. So if one person is going to make the offer, they're probably going to think about what is important to them. Mm-hmm. But what about you? What is important to you? Some of the best scenarios I've heard of, they're the ones that part A, let's say the man, it's important for him to check property and then businesses and the commercial parts. So the woman also says, okay, that's it, I don't want to bear the children. Mm-hmm. So if I should accept this, I need you also to accept mine. I don't want to get pregnant.
So I want a third party get
a surrogate.
And we'll discuss surrogacy.
Let's get nannies throughout. I'll stay at home, yes, but I don't want to have to labor. So I'm not saying definitely ask for that, but if you're going to sign a prenup, make sure that all the things that are important to you, when you think about a good marriage, what does it look like? Make sure it's there.
Not a fantasy, be realistic, I beg.
If it is your fantasy, if it is important to you, let it be there. Let the other person know that this is what you're expecting of them, so that it doesn't come as a surprise.
When it's even not realistic,
let him not agree to it.
You see, what she's saying basically represents a conversation. And it's a conversation which is not obligatory on the other party to accept. At the same time, the person's response also is not obligatory on her to accept. You see, there's no standard form prenup agreement.
Yes.
Now, for example, if you're looking at it from the perspective of the Bible, mm-hmm. children are a blessing from God. You see some Abraham, mm-hmm. God promised him a child, and the child came, but there were times of doubts. You see Rachel, her womb was
Hannah,
right. So life is life. We can't understand everything about life. But then you see that when it comes to divorce, the Matrimonial Causes Act is there, mm-hmm. right? Now it tells the conditions under which divorce
petition can be brought.
Petitions can be brought. Now, those conditions under which divorce can be done, prenuptial cannot contract out of them.
Yes.
Okay. Now, what happens is that if a person says, I don't want to carry a baby, at least it's good that she tells you. And then if you too, you want a woman who will carry a baby,
you are not an African
then
woman.
you say that, okay. Now, so then it may end up being the case that, okay, we love each other, but we cannot
get married. Yes.
And then we all go out.
But in case of death, does prenup affect inheritance?
I'm coming. Now you see,
Shall I have 10 minutes?
As lawyers, you see that all sorts of pleadings come out. That you see that when divorce comes, the character of people change.
Yeah.
And you see that the contents of the prenup, to a large extent, helps create some of these estoppels. Remember, when it comes to inheritance and death, okay, death after a marriage or in the course of a marriage comes to inheritance, okay? So that aspect of inheritance, you see that if the person died intestate
or made a will.
If the person made a will but did not make provision for their surviving spouse, there is a way. Yes.
But can we have it in the prenup that when I die, you will not inherit anything, everything goes to my children? Can we have something like that?
Remember that
what will happen with the inheritance?
The prenup is not a testamentary document. Okay? So it is testamentary documents that would
that becomes a valid will. Like if you refer to it as a will.
So you cannot refer to a prenup as a testamentary document, and therefore, if what you want to deal with inheritance, deal with it separately. It's not the prenup that will deal with it.
But you can't even say that you will not get anything, because then that will be ousting.
The Wills Act is you'll be acting it. So
but the Wills Act, you can give anything to anybody. But if the person...
Wills Act, you cannot you have to make provision for your surviving spouse.
And children, especially those who are dependents. So you cannot say,
if at the end of the day, you take the woman out or you take the man out, they can always go to court to have them in there. But at the end of the day...
So they cannot enforce it.
That part will not be enforced.
Yes.
And what about those who will get the property? Because at the end of the day, they'll give them some, but those who are supposed to inherit.
No. Under which, if it's PNDC law, the intestate is clear.
No, intestate is very clear. But I'm talking about wills.
Your will. If, remember, once you're a child and you attain majority,
your parents don't owe you
nothing. They don't owe you nothing. Inheritance is a blessing, it's not a right.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
But for your surviving spouse, it's an obligation.
Yes. So if you had a will that didn't give reasonable or didn't make reasonable provision for your surviving spouse, it can be challenged.
Yes.
Yeah. The court will vary.
But yes, it will vary, but still the person who is supposed to inherit will still get something. And that's a good thing.
Who is the person who is supposed to? The surviving spouse by law will get something.
Yes, and the person who was given the property.
Like most often than not.
Yes, like the child.
So
if the child is given everything.
If it was one, the courts will share it amongst them.
Remember, the court varies.
Yes, but doesn't take away. That's what I'm trying to say.
It will vary it, and to the extent of the variation.
Do you think, Ghana, we need prenup, a law on prenup?
I don't think so.
It's unnecessary.
I think we need that awareness. We need to encourage people.
Encourage? The churches will come after you.
I doubt that.
In fact, I think that the churches must encourage their members.
Why?
Yes.
Because you see, remember, the
church frowns on divorce, right? If you know what you are entering into, and you don't wish to do it, you don't go in the first place. It will prevent somebody going and say, "Hey, this is unconscionable. I don't want to be here. Hey, I'm being smothered. I don't want to be here." So I think it's in the best interest of the churches that their members know for sure and have, like Senior was saying, an insurance policy guaranteeing that they'll be in a great marriage, a marriage they like, a marriage that they are comfortable and makes them happy. And in the event of any uncertainty, because life happens to people, they will be okay. Than for them to go, they will be unhappy, the uncertainties will come, they will not be okay. And what happens to the church burdens? The church now has to be paying people's school fees. The church now has to be taking care of widows. The church now has to be consoling and doing several postmarital counseling that don't work anyway.
But if I
Will
may
you
say
agree with Sylvia, who is saying that, Anita, I don't think in Ghana this will work. We are not ready.
It's going
It's
Put on this cow. It's working. The people who are rich are doing it. You don't have money.
No, it's not even those who are rich. I mean, people, anybody
still can do it now.
Let me say this. Marriage is not an institution designed by God to kill people.
True.
Okay, so I think that while the church doesn't encourage or divorce, where the reality requires that, the church must provide the support.
Mm-hmm. So if the church gets involved with prenup and really even help couples be fair in net with regards to bringing in lawyers and everything, you think they might help?
It will help because it will help the pre-marital counseling. Mm-hmm. Because at the pre-marital counseling, if they bring up the issue of prenup, I think it will help couples.
So if the couple is interested, that's fine. Let's go ahead, bring a lawyer to do a helper. If the couple is not interested, okay.
They'll be educated at least.
Yes.
They will be educated at least.
Yeah.
We all go to school. Sometimes we do courses that we don't end
so
up working. But the knowledge helps us.
Yeah. Even with the premarital counseling, there are some things that they bring up.
Yeah.
They'll tell you, oh, are you going? Is this how you're going to treat it? Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. Why won't you write it on paper?
Yeah.
If you're going to sit in front of the counselors and say, oh, we are going to do this, we are going to do this, we are going to act like this, we are going to do this, why won't you just write it on paper? What is the fear of the pen?
You see,
it is
document anybody who is ready to commit but afraid to sign. Right?
Why are you afraid of the pen?
You are ready to commit, afraid to sign. It's not
Ima is asking a question. Actually, I have a few. They're giving me 5 more minutes. But Ima has a question, and it's quite funny. In Ghana, which girl that you are going to struggle with want to sign a prenup?
Let me ask Ima.
Yes, Ima.
Which man who is going to struggle with you wants you to sign a prenup? I don't understand. If you say you're going to struggle with the person and you're requiring the person to sign the prenup.
In the future, you protect your property in the future.
Listen,
unless Ima is planning to be deceitful and greedy.
True.
If he is not, what is his problem?
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, but you see, the question is that
if we can look marriage at fairly and legally, there are a lot of things a couple will do, and it shouldn't be a big deal.
But why is it a big deal anyway?
You see, when we see marriage as working together, okay, then marital assets, we will grow it. Okay? Now, if we are not ready to grow marital assets, but we want to distribute, right? Then there's a problem.
Yes. You don't want to grow, but you want to.
What's the one advice you give to viewers when it comes to prenup?
Be truthful. Be open. Say what your expectations are. Be fair.
Say what your expectations are and be fair. Marianne.
Also, be honest with yourself first. And then don't be afraid of saying what you want. You don't have to accept everything. And you can always ask for what you also think you want.
Abigail, lawyers are the big good aware. Now, okay, so what you say is, you go aware. You see, our background, you say good on the onset. So, in your local language, the take home for my guests. yours. Looking at them for me. Under a minute.
In the local language?
Yes.
Okay. Numo eha wo fen dwam. Ni eha wo fen wala. Hani jale afi noni ba nyo ohi ni o relationship ni okay mo fe mo ba na ani anokwale adomoshi noni jeono noni jeono no to bi ohun noni bohun osumoni afi haboe femo ke hamo ni ofen wona to enjoy ake oba ka woni ni ka wo gbo e wo ke nuku ya ni wo ani noni ja jinoni.
Thank you.
Okay.
Marian, your local language.
Blanche hile etwa kashi onye owie etwa kashi ke yujiboe ke wota onokwe onye obi wo ke bale akashi susumo ko baba alo shishinu ko baba ohun ko ye no kuwie mo isa no shogbe he foshin ye wi ahe yesusu ahe together nike noko ngba ojomo na onye oke bahi mo fi amo awie mo fi amo anu ehishi koni agbene ko pele no temi ole akenekeji nekeji ogbe fan neke na ayale koni to enjoy ke ekomi fi mo ayano.
Marian, I was expecting English from her. All right, thank you so much. Sorry for being late. Today we had some technical challenges, and so that's why we came late. What I would say finally is this: I want us to. This topic was brought up not to force it down anyone's throat. It's for us to think about it, because that is how people are going now. The question is, what do you think? That's what I want to ask. So send us a message, okay? And just tell us what you think about prenups. And if you want us to discuss this topic again in details, you know we're a little bit late. A lot of questions I didn't ask. We might go into it maybe another time, the next season. But we are here to just, let's talk, okay? What do you think about it? Until next week, we are going to talk about surrogacy next week. Surrogacy, being crowd bawoni ye mo. Hey, I'm sorry, but hey, it's happening, and we need to be educated on it. Until next week, it's adieu from us.
Changing lives.